Hello, everybody, and welcome to our House of League predictions episode. We are back with, I was going to say, the guaranteed outcome of all these games, but I think we proved last week that that's not correct, didn't we, Matthew Shaw?
Move on.
And as well as our predictions master, Matt, Josh McAllister's with us. I'm James Smith. Thanks for being with us. We're going to rattle straight into it. Tricky week, actually. There's some predictions I think we might be a little split on. I'm going to start with the league leaders, Hull KR, going to Castleford Tigers, who have just beat Hull FC. Can they beat Hull KR, Matt?
No.
Good answer. Moving on, we've got St Helens again. No, I'm kidding.
Just don't see it.
No.
Dull
taking a lot of encouragement from FC, played well, scored some, attractive tries.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from Castleford. They deserved to win that game on Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Deserved to win, played some good stuff. They have been improving. They're a bit up and down still out there. For every decent performance, there's still in Danny Maguire's words, a rubbish performance. But they're gradually getting there. But I think they'll need to be a bit better than gradually better to beat Hull KR. Because, you know, with respect to Hull FC and where the two teams are at right now, Hull KR are a couple of levels up from where Hull FC are at.
Hull KR's challenge now is just getting back into the grind of Super League. Obviously, they won the Challenge Cup, they had the celebrations, they avoided any fears of a Challenge Cup hangover when they crushed Catalan's Dragons, their biggest ever defeat in Super League. But they wanted to earn that right to celebrate with the fans after as well. But now it's just about getting in the grind week in, week out. Super League, once again, before the Challenge Cup they were doing fine. So yeah, it's just about getting back in that grind now and all talk of the treble that you predicted last week.
I think this is the difficult week for them. I think this is the tricky week. As it always used to be with the Easter doubleheader, it was never the game after Easter Monday. It was never the game on Easter Monday backing up. It was always the week after, because you get through that first game after the Challenge Cup with the atmosphere, wanting to win, having the party, the fireworks, everything. I think they got through on emotion, they got through on adrenaline and everything else. This is the one where it's the test for me. I think they pass it, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the one that's more difficult to win than the Catalan game. Well, it certainly is, because there's no way Castleford play as poorly as that Catalan team did, because that was pretty shocking. So we all going with Hull Kingston Rovers on this one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay, good
Can
stuff.
I just point out, someone had a go at us the other week, I think it was last week, for always tipping Hull KR to win, even though I didn't actually tip them to win last week. What do they want us to do? Tip them to lose when they're top of the league?
So they've only lost one all season.
Yeah, they've only lost one of 18 games.
Is it
the players?
I don't know who it was. I just saw it and thought, well, they win every week. What do you want to... It's like we're trying to manifest defeats for them. Sorry.
Just moving on, apologies if anyone's picking up any interference. It does sound like someone's laying a floor above us, but we'll move on. St Helens beat Salford at the weekend, 5th place in the Super League, hosting the Leeds Rhinos, who were 3rd, and beat Warrington. Tricky one, this one, because you'd hope that St Helens, could really push Leeds, but they're struggling to get a team together. So maybe not a tricky one to predict, but a shame that we're not seeing a stronger St Helens team giving Leeds a test.
Yeah, we mentioned in the previous show the injury crisis that they've got, Batchelor and Curtis Sirenen going off, and George Whitby won't play because he failed a head injury assessment. Yeah, in terms of predictions, it's a pretty easy one because Leeds are going really well. I mean, I know Matt will be enjoying it, giving his predictions on Leeds all year, and Jake Connor, but Brad Arthur's got them really good, and I think Dan Tomlinson did a great piece on All That Rugby League over the weekend about them being almost the contenders. They're up there. If anyone's going to challenge Wigan and Hull KR now, it looks like they would be next best alongside, Leeds maybe on their best day, but it's looking like Leeds are the next one. So yeah, I think in terms of predictions, it's Leeds Rhinos.
I'm glad it only took you 16 weeks to figure out what I told you before anything had actually happened. But anyway,
it only took us 6 minutes of that Catalan performance.
I think you'll find Catalan's actually got held up over the line.
Yeah,
quite
they did.
Early.
14 minutes. It took Tom Davies 14 minutes to score.
I thought I was on to a win.
Yeah.
But listen, it is a shame because I think St Helens have been a lot better since Magic, but we've not.
It found some answers to some questions that needed answering.
But they've beat Catalan, Huddersfield, and Salford.
Yeah,
they played Hull KR and got heavily beat. So this would have been a great opportunity to test the credentials again. And it still is, but with a number of injuries they've got, it doesn't feel like it's fair to assess them on what we see this weekend. And even if they were fully fit, would you back Saints given how bad the record is against better teams? You probably wouldn't, would you?
No.
So I'd be going Leeds regardless, to be honest.
And you're going Leeds.
Yep, Leeds, yep.
It's ripe for a Leeds chant, but I can't bring myself to do it. The hull in me is not allowing myself to do it. Let's move on. Wakefield against Wigan. Now, this will be good because Wakefield will be smarting from that narrow defeat at home to Lee. And I've shown this season that they're a really good side. And Wigan were not brilliant by any stretch in sneaking over the line against Huddersfield. If Wigan are right on it, Wigan are going to win. But if they're not on it like they were, Wakefield could beat them this weekend.
Wigan won't get away with that performance and beat Wakefield.
No. Have Wigan got that performance in them 2 weeks running? That would be my... If I'm Wakefield, I'm thinking, hang on, it's not very often Wigan play like that 2 weeks running.
I think they do have that in them this year. I've said a couple of weeks ago, I think they look like a team almost bored at times.
Just wait until the end of the season.
There's obviously factors in the performance against Huddersfield. Obviously, it was at Dewsbury. It was a smaller pitch. They couldn't quite shift the ball and go around them like they had been doing because Field's been really hot in form. Just like to point out, I was the only one to point out that or predict that Lee would win over the weekend. So it's another week and another risk. But
I'm not interested in that.
Another week, another risk. But I'm going to go with Wigan in this one.
Okay.
I'm going Wigan for what it's worth.
Yeah, I am because I'm struggling to bet against them, but I do feel like this could be close. And I don't think any of us are going to be shocked if we sit here next week and Wakefield have won that game.
No, because Wigan are walking too many tightropes, aren't they?
I think even now, I think we're yet to see Wigan with a top 80-minute performance that they will produce at the end of the year when it's the business end and it's knockout semis. I don't think they've produced that just quite yet. I mean, even Las Vegas, it was probably 60 minutes of class performance, and then Warrington obviously scored 20, 24 points or whatever it was. I don't think we're yet to see 80 minutes from them yet.
The thing with Wigan, why I'm not worried about them is Vegas was the biggest game of the season at the time for them, given just the event, and for 50 minutes they were awesome.
Yeah.
And the only performance that's probably outdone that was when they beat Hull KR at Hull KR.
Yep.
Which is not your grand final repeat. Looks like the two title contenders. When the big games have arrived, they've turned up. They were pretty good at Good Friday against Saints. So, but I do worry for them in these games where it's the bread and butter stuff, because there does seem to be some missing concentration or whatever.
Well, they got bored of what they were doing when they played Hull FC. Opened up big lead, thought they got a game won, got bored of it, and FC got them.
It's happened a few times. They've had a few close shaves. Lee, only, 4 weeks ago, when they were miles in front, were it 26-8? And then suddenly were 26-22 or whatever.
Okay.
I just want to correct myself. Last week I said that Wigan was so far behind Hull KR. What I actually meant was so close. We were talking about how Hull KR needed a win in terms of the League Leader Shield in that fight and how close it would be. It's so close that neither team can give up these games. Hull KR can't afford to lose to Casford. Wigan can't afford to lose to the likes of Huddersfield and Wakefield. Otherwise, it makes a big difference in the table. I got a bit of grief on social media for that slip up. So
I'm surprised at that because genuinely, I didn't think anyone listened to anything you said.
The one time that 3 people did. I got grief for it. So
social media grief. Oof, there's a shock. Listen, Warrington. Speaking of social media grief, I think you got a little bit the other week because Warrington. Brilliant in the Challenge Cup final. Where's it been all season? I think you said, and people said, we've set a benchmark now. This is us. You watch us go. Well, I watched them go, and they didn't go very far against a good Leeds Rhinos side, but they didn't go very far. Just 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They're at home this week against Huddersfield Giants, who will be smarting, but will take a lot of encouragement from the performance against Wigan. You still expect Warrington to get over the line here, don't we?
Yeah, I do. Huddersfield have been better, but it seems like they've lost Adam Clune again. Went off injured. I think it's his hamstring, so he won't be playing. And it's no surprise that they got better. The first one came just as he came back into action against Hull FC. They're a better team with him on, and he's the only real organiser leader. So I think losing him hurts them so badly. Hurts Huddersfield so badly. So yeah, I'll be going for a Warrington win, but unfortunately, it goes back to what we've been saying all year. That it just seems like a bunch of inconsistent players who can't do it week in, week out for whatever reason that is. Is it just how they are? Is it a team thing? Is it day to day? Is it how they are in their lives? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but they just we gave them credit for turning up, barring Vegas in the big games, but I always think we're going to see something indifferent in games like this because it's been the case all year. It really has. So
the motivation for Warrington is that they desperately need these 2 points. They're almost falling behind the rest of the pack in the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs at the end of the year, barring the Challenge Cup final, it's a failed season, isn't it, under Sam Burgess? Warrington Wolves need to be making playoffs. They need this 2 points. I think this is the hardest game to call because, as you say, Huddersfield will take a lot out of their performance against Wigan. Obviously, conceded in the literal last second of the game to Jack Farriman to lose that one. I think I'll agree on Matt on Warrington, but I wouldn't be surprised if Huddersfield do get the job done.
Just point out, by the way, I just went through my emails the other day. In the media tipping competition, the bigger one.
There's a bigger one than this.
Whoa. There is no bigger one than this.
As in
this is the centre of the universe.
As in there are 95 people in it.
We should get them on the podcast.
It's got more people in it, but you add them 95 together and they don't know as much as Josh.
There was only one
one
person. There was only one person in the entire comp who said that Warrington won't make the playoffs.
Oh, let's think. Josh, who could that be?
Do you want to go through?
It'd have to be someone with a big ego. I don't know who could say that.
He really brings it up every week.
And I've only really brought it up because there was a funny comment in the replies last week, wasn't there?
Yes.
That we had a laugh about. Anyway, moving on.
We're all saying Warrington. I'm going to go Warrington, but the same answer that I gave for Wakefield versus Wigan. I'm not massively shocked if the Giants really push them, but I can't see Warrington not winning this game.
Agreed.
Brilliant. Moving on. Catalan, without the captain, which seems guaranteed. Although this is going out later in the week when the judgment's already been made. But Catalan at home to Lee, who looking good for that fourth spot at the minute. Surely the Leopards get this done. Catalan's just seem in disarray. There was some really strange comments from Joel Tompkins after the game. We were discussing it earlier. Don't know how much to infer into it, but he talked about, the English group and the French group and the Aussie group, and it wasn't talking like as in one team.
Let's be right, Spursy. We've been hearing whispers of that all season, haven't we?
We put those whispers to Steve McNamara previously, and he wasn't too happy with that.
No, but then you read what Joel Tompkins got, and you think, well, why would you just come out with that?
It's a strange thing to say, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, surely. This is there for Lee to take. I can't see Catalan beating Lee. Not after they've got a long way to make up after last week.
You know what? I don't think at the minute, from what I've seen of Catalans now for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I'd be tempted even to tip Salford to beat them.
They don't make the top 6, do they?
No.
And that's
because they don't look like they're trying. There are some players who genuinely look like they can't be bothered.
I think Castleford finish above Catalan at the end of the season.
They're only 2 points behind now, aren't
Is that all it is to? Well, I definitely think Castleford finish above Catalan then.
Because there's some spirit in that Castleford team.
Catalans were just weak, didn't they? They gave up in defence. They were just weak, and they were just awful. I know that the owner said that Joel Tompkins will be given till the end of the year to prove that if he's the right man. But I just think they need someone with all the experience, a leader to change that culture.
The problem is, who do you get?
Well,
the
two that we've always talked about are Sean Wayne, Trent Robinson.
And you're not going to get either of them now. Sean Wayne's not going to take it on 4 months before the Ashes. I just don't envisage him doing that. I really don't.
You're almost at a point where you've just got to do what you do. He's going to stick with Joe Tompkins, isn't he, till the end of this year? I'm on about next year. I don't think Joe Tompkins is the right man to start next season.
How can Joe Tompkins even prove himself in that? This is just it's a firefighting exercise that you're never going to be able to put. You put one fire out, there'll be another one over there. He's playing whack-a-mole effectively till the end of the season.
And then when your captain does that,
yes, I don't know.
So I don't think it's any slight on Joel Tompkins, is it, what's happening there right now? Because let's be right, we've seen these performances before he came in, but I did read deep into his comments about the Australian gang and the French gang and think that there's just something in that camp that's not, there's something off. And it's not, behind the scenes, that's something that we heard a while back.
Yeah, so it's... Just on predictions, I agree with you, Lee. Lee's biggest task now is to keep Armstrong on the field. He's been dealing with more niggling injuries. Their biggest task
since he came in.
Yeah. And I think again he's suffered a little bit in the win over Wakefield. Keeping him on the field is their biggest key. But yeah, I'm with the Leopards.
Here's a question. Sorry, because we're dragging on here. Do Lee need a halfback? There's been this talk about they're going to sign a halfback, this and that. Given the way Ben McNamara's been playing, do they need to go and sign a halfback?
For next season or for now?
For next season. Bearing in mind you've still got Gareth O'Brien as well.
No.
I agree.
No, if Armstrong stays fit and what he can bring from that pivot position as well, McNamara, what I like about it is you look at what Armstrong gives you and then look at what McNamara gives you and what Lamb gives you, and you're ticking a heck of a lot of boxes there.
I agree.
They haven't all got everything, as some halves do, but between them all, they give you all them threats that you need. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And I like Ben. I think he's, he did get a chance previously, but maybe not the chance to have a regular run. He's been fortuitous in now this one's come on, but he's grasped it with both hands.
You've got to give halfbacks to the age of 24.
Yeah.
To me, and Ben's 23 now, I think. 22.
He'll get better. And no one's saying he's the finished article. And I think ask Adrian Lamb and he'll probably, while praising him, will say, but he's got a lot to work on.
Absolutely, not denying that. I just think
why go out and buy a halfback
when he's coming on as rapidly as he is? I just don't think they need to.
No,
you only learn from those experiences, don't you? So you only learn from the more Super League games you get. And we didn't mention it on the main show, but Adrian Lamb dropped a major hint that Lachlan Lamb will be staying beyond this season. Yeah. So obviously that's a major coup.
Well, we know now that Tyrone May is obviously staying at.
Yeah,
OKR. The link were there.
Yeah. So if only would have mentioned any of that on the main show, that'd have been really useful. But
if we had a presenter who did his research.
There we go. I'll take that. Finally, Salford, bottom of the table against Hull FC, who, as we did say on the main show, frustratingly lost at home to Castleford. They've lost at home to Huddersfield this season at Magic Weekend. It tends to be at home where they struggle. FC away from home, they've had some brilliant results, not least Wigan in the Cup. They've won at Warrington, played really well, possibly should have won at Leeds. So I can't see anything other than FC. FC win here.
Me neither. That was a poor performance on Friday.
It was. And they've got that in them.
They have, because we've seen a couple of them now. But as you say, they tend to be at home. They've been good away from home. And they have, generally speaking, bounced back after a poor performance like that this year. Even, when they got pumped by Wigan, they then bounced back. So, yeah, it's a Hull FC win for me.
I'd agree. For Salford, they welcome back Chris Hill and Shane Wright from long-term injuries. And give them the credit, they've not got the talent there on the field, but they still throw the ball around. They don't give in. I think the young lad who's a painter and decorator, Sam Hill on the wing, scored in the last second or the last minute, and that was the biggest cheer of the afternoon. They don't give in, but it's just hard to see. I think Matt said it last week. Hard to see where any of their wins come this season under the circumstances.
Catalans at the minute.
Well, that'd be
Interesting times. Right, thanks for being with us on our predictions episode. I'm sure you'll all let us know in the comments throughout the weekend all the games that we get wrong. We look forward to reading them. Generally, we do. And where possible, we'll reply as well. So thanks for being with us. The three of us will see you next week.